The world of esports may be a mystery or something very common to you. On this, the Juhadre podcast in association with Rated R Esports, we're going to talk a lot about it. So without further ado, let's jump right into our episode.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Juhadre.
It's interesting to have you start the episode this time. That was Alvatross instead of me.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
I like it.
I just wanted to try it.
We are on episode number 5. You can see the title, but we're first, just a quick anecdote, if you will, allow me. I have a little story I want to tell that has nothing to do with what we're doing, but
go ahead.
Okay, so check this out.
I love story time.
I was talking with a friend, and I have recently determined that I don't understand a single word of any Def Leppard song. Which, like...
That literally makes no sense, because I listen to them and I'm like...
I know.
I can understand what they're saying just fine.
Yeah, no, especially their song Hysteria, almost not a single word. It's ridiculous. Anyway...
I'm going to have to go back and listen to this now.
So, I mentioned that. And this friend said, I'm not a big Def Leppard fan. I said, I'm normally not either, but now I'm definitely not because I can't understand him. And just to be contrary, he said, no, I just think their drummer sucks.
And you're going to have to tell me which friend this is afterwards.
Yeah, I'll tell you
For
after.
Anybody that doesn't know, just to keep a short story, the drummer to Def Leppard, people say sucks so much, but if they actually do any research, he's actually only got one arm.
Right, which is why I thought it was so funny. I thought you would laugh, but...
I know. I just... Oh, I don't know. I think it's because I grew up with people with disabilities, so I'm just like, anybody that, like, they suck. I'm like, you don't understand the background. I immediately don't find humor in it. I'm like, I see it from a different perspective.
Right. I thought it was funny because I know this person well, and I knew he was just trying to say it.
It is kind of funny, but, like I have a different reaction, but oh well. Right. No.
Anyway, so that's our derailment for the beginning of the episode. But now I presented this idea to you not too long ago of what I wanted to talk about today, and I enjoy the thought coming from it, and it goes along with our theme of talking esports and entertainment and such, and it's what makes a good game.
Holy shit. That is a hard question to answer.
It really is, isn't it?
Okay. Let's think about this. Well, what makes a game? Obviously, something that's entertaining.
Okay.
Different forms of games. You got physical games, football, basketball, football.
well played.
Yeah.
Well played.
Rugby, hockey. But then you've got board games. You've got card games. You've got night games that you play at colleges, high school, any kind of activity, church games. You've got extracurricular activity games. And then video games.
Yeah, exactly.
What makes a good game?
Yeah, that's what I want to discuss with you tonight. So what makes a good video game? And then that will branch out into other thoughts like what makes a good esport, because I don't think they're the same thing.
You know what? I'm gonna agree with you on that. Video game and then an esport game. Mm-hmm. In my head, that's completely different.
Well, right, because that's why you don't have competitive Dark Souls. You know what I mean? That you don't have that. You have speed
You're gonna rage
runs.
quit too much. There's no way.
But even on top of that, like I understand that there are speed run championships and things like that, but it's not the same competition that an esport has. And so I was thinking about it and want to kind of talk about what the differences are.
Well, let's start out with your initial question. Your initial question was, what makes a good game? In my opinion, because this topic, don't anybody take this as gospel, because this is personal opinion for the most part. In my opinion, Alvatross's opinion, I would say a good game is something that has got a good story that it can't beat in just a couple hours.
Okay.
Because that gets annoying. You pay $60 for a video game. It's done. That's it.
That is disappointing.
I always get so disappointed. Sometimes why I don't buy video games until they go on sale. Because I'm like, not doing that.
Right.
I like a game that, first off, so number one,
has a good story. And we're not gonna forget our list this time like we did last week.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's write this down real quick.
I think so. All the noises you're hearing. That was a pack of markers. We're gonna use Juhadre's favorite color.
Awesome.
That way he's attracted to it.
Okay, hold on. Don't tell anyone, but posting on this video on the YouTube, take a guess at what you think Juhadre's favorite color is. Yeah, fun little game to interact with everybody.
Yeah, you know what? I want to know that. I'm not even going to say it.
Yes.
I want to see people. Remember, at Alvatross17 and at Juhadre.
Yeah, tweet us. If you think you know my favorite color, at us, post comments on the YouTube video.
Go for it.
So anyway, number one, it needs to have a good story.
Okay, so we're going to go, and if you can hear this marker, I apologize. I have a super sensitive microphone. This thing is...
We're working on it.
Yeah, this room's becoming my little lair. You know, I'm going to have my gaming lair here soon. I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, you know what? Like, I don't mind that it's in my office and not a professional studio, because I was thinking, this is about gaming. Where do people game? In their lair.
Yeah.
You walk into my brother's room. It's video game center, bed with like an indent in the middle, because this is all he does. He sleeps in games in his lair. Anyways. Okay.
So we have a good story, and I do agree with you. I think that is really important.
So big. There's so many times that there's not a game that doesn't have a good story. Now, you've got party games that don't have a good story, but
that's different.
But like Skyrim, great game because it was so long. There was so much to it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I know people that didn't. Again, this isn't gospel.
It's opinion.
Get over it. Yes. But I think one of the big things you got to say is it's got to have a good story.
Yeah.
Now, number two, I think this is a big one that Juhadre put in my head without even saying it, is, in my opinion, I would say you have to have a really, really good antagonist.
Okay.
No, this is squeaky. I don't even know if that's spelled right. And a good protagonist.
So, you know an easy way to say that?
A good character and a bad character? Yeah,
just
you gotta
good
have good characters. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting all detailed. Yeah.
But you're right. And now what makes a good character? Someone with whom you can connect. A bad guy you really like to hate. A good guy you're rooting for.
Just something relatable.
Exactly.
I can't tell you how many times you get in a game and you're just like, that's not relatable. Like, you don't want to play that character because you're like, well, I can't relate to that. Now, even if it doesn't relate to you personally, I mean, when I go for games, I go for the assassin sniper. Why? Because that's what I relate to. I like to be kind of in the background. I don't like to be up front and with the attention on me.
Yep. Holy cow. You just blew my mind, because I usually go for barbarian / brawler / fighter type character. Why is that? Probably for the same reason you do, except I enjoy being amongst people and in the fray and part of all of the action and the attention.
Which is funny because I usually end up in the center.
Which is why you pick the assassin more than the sniper. I
usually, yeah. If you think about, yeah.
All right, so good story, good characters.
Okay, so yeah, good. So we'll just say that I said good antagonist, good protagonist. We'll do that to just characters.
And you're right, because you need a good villain as well as a good hero.
And that's a good point. You can't have your character, the person you're playing, that's got all these abilities, these stats, the demeanor that they have, and then you got this character that you're just one-offing, one-hit kill. They have to be equal in some way.
In some way, I do agree.
So that's why I say antagonist and protagonist. But characters is a good way to put it. Okay. That makes a good one. Number 3 for me.
Okay.
A good game is something that I can actually see myself playing for a while.
Okay.
Not something that I just play and then I'm like, oh, that was it, I'm done.
So kind of a longevity idea.
I would say so. So it kind of goes with like not just good story, but something that I can continuously play. For example, right now, the game that I'm playing, Risk of Rain.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Risk of Rain 2. Let me be specific.
All right. Okay.
Big difference between the two of them. The reason why is I can jump on, and yes, you start from ground zero each time, but I can have my buddies just jump on and play with me. We have a great time. I mean, you've got a game like that. It's Diablo 3.
I do enjoy that game.
You do. And why do you enjoy that game?
I can't actually tell you the answer to that. It's a mystery to me because I hate all other games that are like it.
Are you serious?
I'm positive.
Really?
Yeah. So think about it. Diablo 3 is basically an MMORPG, or it's just an RPG without the MMO.
Yeah.
You go and you kill a lot of things, find the loot, and that's it. Once you've beaten the story, you're done.
You're just repeating everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you're doing.
And that's one of the reasons why I never got into MMORPGs like World of Warcraft, Guild Wars, another game called Rift, SWTOR, what is that actually? Star Wars: The Old Republic. That's what those, I never got into them.
I got those for
because there's no end to it. But for some reason, I really enjoy just popping onto Diablo 3 every once in a while and playing for 4 hours or so. And I can't explain it.
No, that's interesting that you say that because, you usually say, hey, Juhadre, what are you going to do tonight? Diablo 3?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what it is either.
And I'm over here like, I mean, that's been out for years. So I'm waiting for Diablo 4 to come out. But okay, that's a different story.
Yeah, so now we're back to number 3.
Okay, so something that you can just continuously play.
Exactly.
I think that makes a good one because I love going back every year, every October. For my October games, it starts with Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. Now, a lot of people be like, why do you play Dark Souls if that's where you're going? Well, because Dead Space, in my opinion, I like it. It's just good. So, I'm having a hard time picking a third one.
But that's what it is.
But sorry, kind of putting it down.
Putting it down?
Something that I can continuously play that's just super enjoyable.
How about doesn't get boring?
Well, I like that. I like that. Doesn't get boring.
Yeah, I think that is the thing. If you get bored playing it, then it's not a good game.
Yeah, because that just sucks. It's so shitty when you buy a video game and you're just like, I'm so bored with this.
Yeah.
I bought quite a few games, and then I'm like, why did I buy this?
I don't know.
Anyways, okay.
So what else? Do you mind if I throw one on the list there?
Yes, more. Go for it.
I like lore. More than just a story, a good background to everything. You know, where are you? Where did it get started? Are there any?
So like lore, like a backstory. Okay, so you got a good story, which is you're going through. Yeah. But something that's got a good story that leads you up to what you're doing.
And that might be the reason why I like Diablo so much, because there's a whole, literally an eternity of history of the burning hells and the high heavens battling each other. And then out of nowhere comes this Nephilim race. And then that shifts the balance and all of the demons are imprisoned. Boom. That's the backstory. One of them gets out, and that's something you don't know until you've gone through the game and learned the backstory. That's what makes the current timeline so entertaining. And so I love deep, long time lore in a video game. Even in League of Legends, which everyone knows by now is my game. The whole concept behind it is this continent called Runeterra is just torn apart by war. And so this group of people gets together and says, hey, hold on, guys. Instead of you being angry at each other and killing thousands of soldiers and stuff, why don't you just pick a couple champions, go in this magical place where you don't actually die, and have this contest 5v5 and see who destroys the Nexus. Whichever team wins the argument and gets what they want. And that's what League of Legends is you are playing someone controlling a champion from that country on this continent.
There's a big backstory to each character.
Yeah. Every single
I didn't even know that. Again, I don't play League of Legends. Well, right when I jumped in, it became, a sport, not a game.
And we'll get back to that later. Yeah. But that's one of the things I really enjoy in a game is a nice backstory.
I like that because I do like a good story to a character too, because it makes it more relatable.
Exactly. When they're not just a name and something drawn in a game, they're a person. Or person isn't the right word. They are a living being per se.
Yeah, I can see that because when I play a character, I kind of imagine that I am that character.
Right.
That's how I play. I don't just play to ignore society and just play games or just to, I'm bored. I play it because I like that. I'm that character. That's me. Anyways, cool. So there's 4.
Pretty decent list.
That's a pretty decent list. So I'm going to challenge again because I really do want to start hearing from our listeners.
Yeah.
Again, at Alvatross 17.
At Juhadre.
send us what you think. Your top 3, top 5. What makes a good game for you? I want to hear this.
I do.
I actually like hearing about other people's opinions. So if anybody doesn't know this, I'm a very open-minded person.
Yeah, so I do know that.
I want to hear your opinions. Remember, my opinion is not gospel. I want to hear your opinion as well.
Okay, you say your opinion isn't gospel. Is mine?
No.
Okay, just wanted I wanted to double check because I don't think it is either. But that's, that makes a good game.
I like that because now, yes, again, it is personal, but I think a lot of people would agree. One of the biggest things is a good story, making a character that's relatable to a game that, first off, isn't going to get boring within your first, 2-3 days of playing.
Yeah.
And has a good backstory, whether it be the actual storyline or the character itself. That actually makes a good game. Now, that is what we've come up with. Again, we want to hear yours.
So then let's keep branching out here because we talked about how esports and games in general aren't necessarily the same.
No, we actually talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing when you think about that. So I would take a second and think about this. Video games. You think about it. But now you say, okay, what about esports? Can this game be an esport? Think about it. What makes a game esport compatible, let's say?
Right. And that's what I really wanted to discuss here because there are definite reasons for it and actually reasons why I don't like certain esports versus liking a particular game. One of the most popular and most bought and classic games out there is the Half-Life series.
Yeah, right. I did play all those.
Everyone I talk to that has played through them says that they are amazing, but they will never become an esport.
I wouldn't say they would be an esport.
No, I wouldn't, because it's not built into it. But are they a good game?
Yeah,
definitely.
So what you're saying, let's clarify, because some people probably, I don't know. Anyways, just because it's not an esport doesn't make it a bad game.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting that.
So would you say that there's a fine line? Because when I think of esport, I'm thinking of something that's got the ability to have competition, teams,
okay,
as well as I like the fact I like games where you start at 0.
Yes,
because it's not fair if you get, now you're going to go up against this player, this gamer, but their stats are better because, you're not starting at the same ground. I mean, even in a sport, you've got all your practice, you're all warmed up, but football, soccer, basketball, golf, hockey, everybody's starting in a certain position at ground 0.
Right. And the score is 0-0. And that I think you're right. That is something that makes an esport. League of Legends, what's that one called? Overwatch, Rocket League, Counter-Strike, StarCraft, Dota, all of those, you start at level 1. So the only exception to that would be the World of Warcraft Battlegrounds. But here's the thing. You can't participate if you're not a max level character.
That's true. You actually have to meet certain qualifications for
exactly.
that one.
But it's still the same thing. Like you said, everyone is at the exact same point. You start with full mana, full hit points, full health on your armor, all of those things in those battlegrounds. And then you start. And then it just, because you heal so much in that game. My brother is really big into World of Warcraft and I've watched some with him. Your percent healing effectiveness goes down after 2 minutes and increases every minute after that. So by, 7 minutes in, you're only healing 60 something percent instead of that full 100% value. And so it makes it harder and harder to use your healer, and you have to beat the other guy down. It's fascinating. But I like that you brought that up, that level playing field, I think, is something that comes into
it's one of the first things that turns me away when people or my friends say, hey, I want to play a video game. Now, I'm not saying don't be discouraged from that. We talked about that last time. Don't be discouraged because you're not good enough. But I mean, that happens to be something that I had to get over. Is it discouraged me? Oh, yeah, but you're better at that game than I am. But there's so many games where you start at 0, and I like that. Now, other games, of course, you're not going to start at 0, but it's harder to have a competition or like e-sport in that situation because, again, I don't want to jump in and be like, I'm going to start playing this, but I'm fresh. I'm a newbie. I'm going to start playing at level 1 and you're a level 10.
Right.
And be like, well, that's completely not fair, you know?
This is actually a really good time to bring up one of the reasons it took me a long time to get into League of Legends, because it used to be that every game reset your levels, but you as a player have a summoner level. You started at 1 and got up to 30. And once you hit 30, you were maxed out. And every level gave you a rune slot and a mastery slot. So no matter how good you were at the game, if you were only level 25, you had 5 runes and masteries that you could not use that someone brand new at the game had. And each of those, the rune and the mastery, would give you stats in the game. Damage, dodge chance. They removed that. Sorry. I won't say that. Mana regen, hit points, armor, extra gold, movement speed, all these other things. Missing 5 of them.
Yeah.
Just off the bat, you were missing 5 things. So it was never an even playing field for me because when I got home from my mission, everybody was already level 30 and I had just started. So we jump into a game, 5 level 30s on the enemy team, 4, and then I'm level 9 and I got stomped.
But see, that's unfair. See,
I don't like that.
I hate to say it, but that's discouraging.
It really is.
And again, don't give up. But
because they fixed that. They fixed they fixed the system. Everyone starts. First of all, they took away masteries. Now it's only runes, and you have access to all of the runes at level 1. But to make sure you're comfortable with the game, you have presets that you're allowed to use until you get to level 10, I think. I haven't
pick your own.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
so
like
they at least
they leveled
out the playing field.
Exactly. But you see, the reason that bothered me so much is Dota didn't have that. And that's what I played before I left, was original Dota. And it didn't matter if you had played the game for 6 years or if you played it for 2 years. You were both on the exact same playing field. You just had a little bit more knowledge and familiarity. And I like that that even playing field, everyone starting at the same point, I think is a really big thing that makes an esport what it is.
I agree. I think the only thing that should be different is skill.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, granted, you can pick a different character that has different abilities, characteristics, spells, actions, whatever, you know, but you're picking that. So you, by seeing somebody else, what they're picking, you already know what other characters could do, so you can pick. I think having that even playing ground where everybody has a chance from the get-go to get to the same point, but it's your choice at that point from the start, that makes a good esport. I feel like that's one of the biggest things is so you can't just go like Destiny. Like, I don't know if they actually have one, because you can just jump in as a noob and start playing with people online. Yes, that's competitive. It's an e-sport.
No.
But I'm sorry. When I jumped in there the first time when I started playing, because when my wife finally let me get an Xbox, and I started playing it. I jumped in and I was like, well, crap, all these people are already maxed out and I'm only like a level 3. Now, yes, I know you can get different stuff and level up so fast. I know, but I just basically jumped right in there. But it was unfair because I'm like, well, I'm just getting dominated.
Right.
I'm like, there's no way for me to get any. So I'd run around a corner, but everybody else has got all these other guns, their weapons, their armor, their speed. They played it so much more that it just wasn't fair.
So then I think that this is a good time to bring up again those really popular esports such as Overwatch. Everyone starts at 0 charge on their ultimate.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, like you said, you pick the character and the damage you deal is what charges up that ultimate.
Yeah, it's basically like getting experience points, but you start from the ground and you build that character up in that game. Next game, you're right back down. You are going through the veil.
And see, that's again why I like that. I like that concept because your aggression level, your ability to land those shots rewards you with ultimate cooldown. And that I like that. I'm not good at the game and I don't like it as a whole, but that mechanic.
I gotta agree with you on that one. I've tried playing Overwatch. It's fun once in a while, but
after 4 rounds, I'm pretty done with it.
I got bored of it. I actually haven't played with that game since your last LAN party.
But so that I like that mechanic and that playing field. But then let's go back to StarCraft, which is one of the most popular and actually one of the originals, not StarCraft 2, the original StarCraft.
Oh yeah, the original.
You start with 0 minerals and 0 Vespian gas.
Yeah, and you got to go mine all that from the get-go.
Exactly.
And build your civilization and defend it. And the other team, the other player, the competitor has to do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And so, those two things, Rocket League, it's the same idea.
You can customize your car.
Right, but
they do
can
the same thing.
And that's what I was going to say, is there are 3 different kinds of cars, but those are accessible to everybody. And you're right, they do different things. Some are better at jumping. Some are,
you got the speed boost, the jump, the maneuvering. But again, everybody has the ability to pick the exact same thing. It's not like, I only lost because he was able to pick that. No, you could have picked that too.
And so that actually leads me into what truly makes an esport. Are you ready for this?
I am ready for this.
A lot of people are going to hate me for saying this.
Oh, no.
They really are. I have very personal friends who do not agree with this. And I have close friends who do agree with it. I have colleagues, cohorts.
Well, let's just hear what it has to say, and I'll pick it apart. Let's see.
An esport has a meta.
Explain.
Meta is an acronym. It's most effective tactic available. And what that means is there is a specific way that is the most effective way to run that game. Now, in Rocket League, the example would be you want to have one of those van type cars to be a blocker. You want to have a nice maneuverable car as your striker up in the front, and you want to have at least one light car that can go extra fast.
What you're saying. Okay,
and then when you go into Overwatch, you need at least a tank, you need a healer, and you need some form of heavy damage per second.
Yeah, right? The same thing when you go to League of Legends. You need the people that can watch those lanes. Great. You need your healer. You need the tank, and then you need the damage.
Yeah, and so in League especially, there is no rule that says you have to have 2 people on the bottom side.
No, but it's a good idea to spread that out. You have to have a you have to have a plan. You can't just jump in. Oh, we're all healers. Okay, well, you're going to get your butt whooped.
But now that leads into why I have friends who disagree. While League of Legends is best that way, you have some sort of bruiser up top lane with teleport because it's so far away from everything.
Yeah.
Because you need them to have hit points to join a fight on command. You need crowd control to hold people down. And you need that teleport, again, so that you can get across the map at a moment's notice. You need a jungler, someone, just this wild card variability that you can't keep track of to surprise. And the reason you want 2 people in the bottom lane is because that's where the dragon is. You want the more players close to that because it's an important objective.
Yeah, it's a strategy. You have to strategize in order to do it.
But the way to counter a meta is to do the exact opposite. And I have played against a team with 5 healers, or no, not healers, 5 support champions and a single carry, and got dominated.
And they got dominated, or you got dominated?
No, they dominated us. And the reason for it is it was all these champions who have heals, crowd control, a lot of hit points, and a way to engage.
So in a way, they still used meta, but it wasn't
the traditional meta that everyone else used.
I gotcha.
So that's the thing I think makes an esport. It's actually why Overwatch lost a lot of popularity, because the meta, what most of the professional teams were doing, it was called GOATs. Go all tanks and supports. Because if you don't die, then it doesn't matter how little damage you deal. You just sit there and beat on people until, just through attrition and being so tanky and having so much regeneration put on you, you win the fight. Because most damage heavy characters are not heavy on resistances and hit points.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That it was so strong to have 3 healers and 2 tanks, 3 healers, and a high damage carry. If I'm remembering right, I could be wrong. It was so much better to do that than to have 2 high damage carries, a healer, a tank, and then an assassin of some kind.
Yeah, well, every game's different,
Right, and that's what I mean. But there was another one. There's this famous story about the original StarCraft where the Zerg beat Protoss just because it was this rock, paper, scissors thing. The Terran beat the Zerg, but the Zerg beat the Protoss and the Protoss beat the Terran. Mm-hmm. But then there was this, I can't remember his name. So call me out on that, on the name. Tweet at Juhadre, put the note here at the bottom of the YouTube video. That guy played Protoss and beat the number one Zerg player in the world.
Yeah.
Because he just conceptualized and understood the game a different way and went against that meta. And it was fascinating. But I think that's the difference is there is a most effective tactic. There's this community-wide understanding that the best way to play the game is a certain way.
I can agree with that. I think I understand why a lot of your close friends think differently on that. Yeah. But let's let our audience decide what they think. But again, this is all mostly opinion. We're not saying this is exactly how it is.
No, and that's the point of the podcast, right? It's you and me having a conversation, learning together and growing based on conversations we have and ideas we have throughout the week.
Yeah, and if that's worked for you, that's great, and I like that concept. Meta. What does it stand for again?
Most effective tactic available.
Awesome. But when you said meta, all I can think about is like the Flash.
Meta humans.
Yeah.
So then that goes back to some of those games that aren't esports, like Dark Souls. Yeah. What is the meta there? Is there one? Is there a certain weapon you have to get early on in the game?
Not to go into detail on that, but I've got friends that play that game, and yeah, there is. A lot of them say that you have to get certain weapons, but I'm sorry, I beat it without having to get that exact weapon. I can't remember what the name was. It was a long time ago. I played the first one. I didn't play the other two. I'm sorry. But I had a family.
But that's what I'm saying. Same thing going back to our example of Half-Life. If you know where to go and get a stronger weapon, okay, you go and get it. But is that meta? Is that the most effective tactic? No, not necessarily.
But you also have the people that want to beat a game without having to get the strongest weapon. Which is something I like to do. I like to be the underdog and try to do. I have played games where I'd like to do it from the minimal.
That story time. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for story time.
Okay. When I was still in high school,
so long ago.
It was so long ago. I graduated almost 11 years ago. It's forever. My next door neighbor, almost called his name. That would have been weird. My next door neighbor got into this phase where he was fascinated with haunted and scary and horror things. Okay. So we watched The Ring, When a Stranger Calls, and Stay Alive, all these movies. And then we also rented a game called Resident Evil 4. This terrifying game. We also chose to play it at another buddy's house when his parents were on vacation in the dark on a giant screen TV with the Wii. Okay, so now understand this with the Wii. Okay, this is an important detail. Detail.
Okay,
because you aimed with the controller.
Yeah,
and so when you get scared and you throw your arms up, suddenly you can't aim. You need to realign it with the camera when a zombie is smacking you in the face. Like it was horrifying. It was so scary. And we couldn't get past a certain boss. We couldn't figure it out. We were like, oh my gosh, it just doesn't take damage. Yeah. So then later on, I watched a video and this 9-year-old kid showed us this game. And he's like, this is how you kill it with just a knife. And I was like, you're out of your mind. I know. And he did it. He did it. Holy crap, he did it.
Okay, story time as well. This is okay. So I really got into the Deus Ex series.
Yes.
Deus Ex, however anybody wants to pronounce it. I've heard it pronounced different ways. Deus Ex, Deus Ex. But Mankind Divided, I was trying to fight the last boss the same way everybody goes about it. Well, you gotta hide yourself and just get behind him and shoot him a lot. And no, so I went online because I was getting pissed. Yeah. I had rage quit for about 2 weeks. Went on, and this guy defeats him in less than a minute. And I'm like, are you shitting me? This guy just goes up, builds himself an EMP grenade, throws it, blows him up. Sorry, it wasn't an EMP grenade. It was the one that you put against the wall. So when he walks around the corner, it blows up. He's done. And then he just goes and grapples him. And he's done. I'm like, you're joking. That's all you had to do. I'm over here throwing EMPs at him. I'm throwing fire extinguishers. I'm throwing explosives. And he keeps coming. This kid does one little EMP mine. That's what it's called. EMP mine. Okay. He comes walking around the corner. It detonates. He goes up, hits Q. If you're playing PC, it's Q. You push Q. You grapple him. He's done. Game over. And I was like, are you shitting me? I've done this for 2 weeks, and I did not even think of that. And it's smart ass tactics like that make me rage quit even further.
Well, right. And that's what I was saying. Just like you were talking about being the underdog and figuring out the hardest way to beat a game. That's not...
I don't like going the simple route sometimes. I don't. That's why I like a good story. I like detail. I want to get in there and I want to try to do it different ways.
But then that, like I was saying, that's the difference between a game with a meta and a story game.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, an esport and a story game is... Okay, maybe there is a more efficient way to beat that boss, but it's not the... if you decide not to do it, you're not going to lose. But that's the difference in an esport. If there's a certain meta, if there's a certain way that the game is most effectively played and you decide not to do it, chances are you're probably not going to win. And it comes down to that. It's not that it's the only way to play the game. It's just if you want to win, it's probably the best route to go through.
Yeah, whereas I can agree.
With a story game, it just, how much time do you want to put into it?
See, and I love putting time into those because I enjoy them. But, okay, what was the game you said you played? What was it? Did you actually?
Resident Evil 4.
That's right. How many people do you think are going to go back and play the 2 games we just named and do that way? Really? That's all you had to do?
Well, I didn't explain which boss and how to do it with the knife.
But they're probably going to figure. Somebody that 9-year-old kid is listening now. That was me.
Well, see, now that 9-year-old kid is 20. So there's that.
Yeah. I hope he's listening right now.
I hope so too. That would be awesome.
Whoa.
Hey, that was weird.
Okay.
We have been friends for years, as we explained in our first episode.
How long have we been friends for?
I think
since 2013. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. According to psychologists, because that's what I went into college for.
Okay.
And then dropped out because I was like... I'm not doing all this paperwork. Anyways, apparently psychologists say if you're friends with somebody, really good friends with somebody for 7 solid years, you have the highest chance of being friends for life.
Well, that explains why Bleen is still a really good friend of mine.
Yeah, I got another friend. His name is Liquid. I love him to death, but we kind of had a falling out at year 6. We're slowly coming back together. But,
we have to be really careful because we hang out together, work together, do a podcast together. We're running out of time where we're separate.
We even have a band together, even though
that's right. That's 4.
Our singer won't show up, but she owes us burritos.
She does owe us burritos. That is in the text. I saw it. But we need to be careful because we're on year 6. We don't want to have our falling out, and we have so much time with each other that
I'm fine with it.
You're good? Okay, you're good. I'm good too.
Yeah. I'm sorry. If anybody knows what these noises are, my microphone again is still so sensitive. We decided we're not sitting on the floor anymore.
That's what we did with Eureka Fresh and last week. And when I got in today and I was testing the microphone, I noticed that it was just for some weird reason, like I couldn't even move on the carpet.
Dude, yeah, you don't want to sit there for however long we do the podcast for, just without moving your legs.
Yeah, last episode was 50 minutes.
I haven't listened to the last one, but people have told me my sniffles.
And for everybody, I went through and I removed a lot of weird echoes, and I left the pauses in there because they're natural pauses in our conversation and how we speak. But I left his sniffles in there because he called himself out as sick and that he would be sniffling.
Was I as drowsy as I thought I was?
No.
I didn't hold it together. Okay,
you held it together. But so... all derailments aside, now we're back to the difference between a good game and a good esport. We've talked a little bit about that, and so there are definite differences. But now this is the next question that comes from it.
Okay,
is one better than the other?
No.
I don't think it is either.
I don't think there is. I mean, if you're actually enjoying yourself, then enjoy yourself.
Right.
But I think if you're looking to get into competitive gaming, rated R esports, I mean, that's what they're about, competitive gaming, because you've got the League of Legends, and they're trying to open up other doors as well.
Yes. In fact, sorry to interrupt you, but quick little plug. Double Dime is playing Brawlhalla, I believe it's called, in Atlanta, I think this weekend. Go ahead and check out Rated R Esports Twitter and find out about that. He is a professional top, I believe, 10, top 100, somewhere around there in this game called Brawlhalla. So If you're looking for that,
Brawlhalla.
Brawlhalla. I don't know anything about it.
I don't either. This is the first time I've heard of it.
No,
I'm like Brawlhalla. It sounds like Valhalla. So, that's gonna be that's gonna be my guess. It's gonna be something with Norse gods. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong.
Sorry to derail you, but you were talking about getting into esports and competitive gaming.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to get into it, you got to really think of it. There is a difference between esports and gaming.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to actually become a professional gamer, streaming is completely different because anybody can actually do that. Now, there's a way to do that. Again, go listen to our 3rd episode with Eureka Fresh.
That's the one.
I'm going to go with episode 3.
It was episode 3.
Yeah, that's right. It was episode 3. He talks a lot about it. But with becoming a professional, you have to get into something that's competitive. Yeah. Because if you don't, nobody's really getting into the solos as much. It's all team. You got to have a team.
Vast majority.
Think about it. League of Legends, Rocket League. You've got
Overwatch, Smite, Dota.
The next one I was thinking of was like Night Squad, but I'm like, I don't think there's a competitive
scene for that. But now, so actually, that's really interesting you bring that up, because when I was doing casting for that Game Tyrant Gaming Center that I was telling you about last time, they held what was called GTX, the Game Tyrant Expo, and they had a huge Smash Brothers tournament.
Oh yeah, see, that's 1v1. All the time. Now, that's not like super professional, but I mean, you can win something once in a while from those.
You can earn millions off of that.
Actually, okay. So this is actually a really funny story. I don't actually know if this one's true. So somebody look this up. So my ex-fiance told me a story about a woman who went to was it Wii or was it Nintendo 64? It was one of the Smash. I'm going to go with Wii, but she was going to the tournament. She held her bladder so long playing that game. So, what I'm talking about.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with the game itself, but when the Nintendo Wii came out, some mall somewhere did a contest called Hold Your Wii for a Wii.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what it was. So what they did is they brought a whole bunch of people in. And they gave you a glass of water with the same amount of water in it. You had to drink it, and the last person to urinate won a Nintendo Wii.
See, I heard she died from holding her urine so long.
Someone did.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. My ex-fiancé was right about something.
I've heard
I'm just kidding.
Story.
She's not a horrible person.
What the heck? Yikes.
But anyway, she told me that story, and I was like, I don't believe that because
that's a thing.
I mean, I never looked it up. I didn't care at the time.
That's a thing.
No, I was so heavy into my, I wouldn't say goth emo phase, but I was definitely like into that music at that time.
Okay.
But anyways, I remember that story. Okay, there are tournaments for that retro. It's you can find those as well.
Yeah, but for sure.
Is that an esport?
And see, that's the question. I want to say yes, because A, I've been around it. Mm-hmm. B, you start at the same level. There are no power-ups.
No, there's not. Every item or pickup is in the game itself.
No, they turn them all off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never been to one of those tournaments.
On top of that, there are competitive stages specifically. So you can play on any map, but instead of being like in Hyrule Temple, for example, for those who are familiar with the Smash Brothers
series
game and series, in the Hyrule Temple, in the very center, you have just this kind of canopy idea where there are a couple of pillars and a roof on top, and you can jump up on the roof. You go a little bit to the right and you can drop down underneath the map. There's a pillar and a couple more.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Over on the left, there's a gazebo of some kind. On that same map, but the competitive level, it just has that in the background and a flat piece that's the same width as the final destination when you fight the hand. It's always that. There's no terrain. There's no extra jumping. There are no items or anything. It's a level even 1v1 with 3 stocks.
That's really interesting. I never actually went to those tournaments.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to watch. I
haven't watched one of those in forever.
But here's the other thing. Another thing that I think goes with an esport is balance. Consistent patching and balance.
Oh my gosh, yes. There are so many games out there. Okay, so I play Risk of Rain 2 right now.
Yes.
And I have to be this what's the word I'm looking for? Where my server is the one that's running it.
Host.
I have to be the host in it because our friend Cobalt Wraith decided that, hey, there's a new character out. Let's go play. And I'm like, oh, sure, whatever. Let's go play. No, he glitches the game so much because that character's so beefed up right now that he's swinging from walls. He's running himself around and he's glitching the game because the character is so huge with it. Oh my gosh, they needed to patch that up. But there's been other games. I agree. I mean, they're constantly doing stuff to League of Legends. You hear it all the time.
It's every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks where they're changing stats, the attack, hit points, the
items. The items change.
Yeah, so I don't play League of Legends. You do.
Yes.
I play other games.
It's every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks they release a patch. Yeah.
You have to. I mean, it's the same thing if you go... See, okay, so let's bring that back to the corporate world.
Okay.
I mean, League of Legends is a job for some people. At a regular job, let's say you work at, a call center, a data center. You work at a supermarket. You work at a... Call centers are gross. Don't work there. Wherever you work, there are updates. You have to update it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
And so that's the one thing I have against Smash Brothers, because I haven't done the research. I could be completely wrong about this. But back in the regular and Melee and Brawl and the first iterations, there were no patches.
You could not do that for Nintendo 64
and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Disc you took home.
Yeah. And so now maybe they do that because it's online on the Wii U, and what's the new one that came out? The Switch. Yeah, the Switch has all of the accesses. And so
because now you actually download stuff you got to download like the game to your console so it'll run off the disc and the console so they can apply updates. I mean,
right.
Every time you turn on, I know it because every time you turn on your PC or my Xbox, you got an update.
Yeah. And that's what I mean is there are characters that are stronger than other characters just by nature of the character.
One thing I really like, you said that brings me up is when we go to your house and we're watching the League of Legends tournaments, championships. I like how you can see what characters are picking.
Yes.
And how they're constantly, this player picked this one. Oh, but now they're like, no, you cannot pick that one.
Yeah.
I like how they have that. I love that concept because it makes it where you're like, nope, we're saying no. Okay, well, yeah, we're going to say no to this one then.
Exactly.
I like that because then you're like, well, dang it. Now, the reason why I like that is because growing up, when I played video games with my family, my brother and my cousins were always the person to pick the same character.
Yep.
And they just push the one button. And the way that happens in League of Legends, you have to be like, okay, I got to get good with a set of characters because if the one character I always pick gets banned, then I don't want to be screwed.
Exactly.
No, you're shit up a creek.
That's one way of putting it.
that is a way of putting it, but that's it. You're hosed.
Right.
You gotta. That's why we said in the last episode, you've got to branch out.
Yeah.
If you want to be, because there's stuff like that bans.
Yeah, and there is a common league term. They call it one trick. If you only play one champion, you're a one trick. Or if you play that one almost exclusively, you're a one trick. Mm-hmm. And if it's gone, then you're basically useless, which is actually, I remember years ago, I was watching a stream from Bjergsen, the mid laner for TSM, and someone sent him a question on his stream.
My chair is going to make noise. I'm grabbing water. My mouth is here. You want your water? Oh.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
My mouth is dry.
But he was talking, someone sent him a question saying, do you think that, and he named a couple one tricks will ever be in the LCS? And he said, listen, they're great players. They're great guys. I've played with them a lot. But the answer is no, because all you need to see is that name and that champion's banned. And then they become nearly useless. It happens
all the time.
Exactly. And you know what? Even if they're not a one trick, for example, Faker, the mid laner for SK
exactly
Telecom T1. Yes. Now listen here. This is insane. He and SKT won the World Championship Season 3.
Yes.
They didn't make it Season 4, but a team called Samsung White did.
Is that not the one that he was super pissed about?
No.
Okay.
No, that came later. But in the mid-season invitation, which is basically a mini world tournament, Faker at that time was completely competitively undefeated on a certain champion. Mm-hmm. He had never lost a professional on-stage game with LeBlanc. Never happened.
Yes.
During this MSI, he picked it. It was game 5 of the finals. It was do or die. Okay. And the tension is up. And I remember they did this review of it when the enemy mid laner, Pawn, who had just won the world championship, but moved teams to EDG.
Yeah.
He said, good. And then he counterpicked it and they beat him. It blew everyone's mind.
Yeah.
And so, again, even if you're not a one-trick, because Faker had his debut on Nidalee, played LeBlanc, played Zed. There's the famous clip of him versus Ryu, Zed versus Zed. Like, anyone familiar with League of Legends knows that. But they knew he was famous for the LeBlanc, and they had a plan for it, and they beat him because it was a counter pick.
That is so awesome.
It's amazing.
So to make sure everybody understands, you're saying they didn't ban him. They totally said, "Yo, go ahead and pick it." We've planned this out.
A plan. Yeah. And so
what a way to come back and be like, dude, we're going to make sure you're getting wrecked on this.
Right. And that's what I want to go back to saying is if you're a one trick, you may not lose your one champion. They might not get banned. But you can guarantee that they at least have a plan to either beat it or starve it or do something. And
there's always some way you can do it.
Yeah.
There really is.
Leave League of Legends alone. Any other game has direct counters with what you pick.
That's how games are built.
Exactly.
I mean, you got, like, it's like you said, you got to have the hero and the villain. Now, those can be swapped. You know what some person says is a hero, and I'm just using that as an example. But you got your yin and your yang.
There you go. That's better
in every single game. That's just how it is. I'm not familiar with the characters in League of Legends, so I apologize. I can't do that. And it's been so long since I played Overwatch. That's not even happening. Not the games I've been into lately.
So to wrap up our conversation here, what makes a good game and the difference between a regular game and an esport. So first, a good game has a good story.
Did you look at the board?
Don't judge me. Yes. It has a good story. It has a good antagonist and protagonist or characters. Jinx again. Creepy. It doesn't get boring. And it has good lore or a backstory.
Now, again, that's just our opinion. Don't take that as gospel. And again, as we said earlier, at Alvatross17 and at Juhadre on Twitter, you can look, drop it under YouTube. We're getting other...
That's an announcement. We're going to make it here in just a second.
I'm going to back myself. But anyways, we want to hear your opinion as well. What makes a good game for you?
And then on top of that, the difference between an esport and a game. A game is more for entertainment, where an esport has a meta and has competition and starts on an even playing field.
I don't really think you can really branch out more to what the difference is there. Because
I don't think there are.
I mean, there definitely is, but it's hard to come away from those, because if you lose, you're going to rage quit and you're going to throw that, well, it wasn't an even playing field.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
You know, it's when I came up with that, I was thinking, what would I complain about first?
Yeah.
I'd complain about, well, you know what? It wasn't even competitive enough.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It wasn't fair.
It wasn't fair. You know, it wasn't an even playing field. So I gotta be honest. You know, put yourself in those shoes. If you lost, why would you be pissed? What would you be thinking? Well, it wasn't an even playing field. That's like the first one I go to.
Right.
It's got to be competitive, like an even.
So then, I think that's a nice way to end that. We did our recap. Fascinating conversation. A couple of derailments, but that's part of the fun of this podcast. Doing it with friends.
And we want to hear from you. So
yes,
again, at Alvatross17,
at Juhadre.
And this has been Juhadre.
Well, not yet. We have those announcements.
Right. You got announcements.
Okay, check this out. I was speaking with the guys at Rated R.
Okay.
As of right now, we are exclusively on YouTube, but expect to see Juhadre on. Are you ready?
You want to do some like drum roll?
No, that'd be weird. On iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. In addition to YouTube.
Nice.
So don't forget to look those places here, and probably by now. We record a week early, which is going to be weird when we want to talk specific, big esport championships
once this
and
gets
stuff.
Going a lot more, I can see us being able to actually get these out a lot faster.
I agree. But as for now, It's a week early, so today is the 11th of October?
It is the 11th. Yes, it is.
Okay, today is the 11th of October.
I've been waiting for this day.
That's
Yes.
right. You got your CD.
No,
But-
I did not.
Oh
They
my
lied
gosh.
to me.
Awkward. Okay, so today's the 11th, but this episode will come out on the 18th.
If anybody wants to hear that story, again, at Albatross17.
This will come out on the 18th, and by then, I am guessing, I have not been told for sure, but I am very, very sure that we will be on those other platforms. So go ahead and take a look there. That'll be a lot easier for, not on a cell phone. If you lock your phone with YouTube, it stops playing.
That's so annoying.
Which is why we wanted to get on the other platforms. So be excited for that.
Yes.
Next up, again, we are planning and working on individual social media for Juhadre as a podcast.
Yes, we are actually, I want to expand on that. So right now, if anybody just heard that, that's my kid. He just got home.
Then let's do it quick. Let's go quick.
Anyways, so we are looking for other social media. If anybody wants to help us out, let us know. We would love to hear from you. So just again, at Alvatross17, at Juhadre, at Rated R Esports, at Rated R LOL, and LOL is LOL. Just for those that don't understand it. My grandmother understood LOL, and I was amazed, mind blown. She LOL'd me once. I was like, what?
It's the wrong LOL. It's League of Legends.
I know, but still. Anyways, okay, but I'm done. I'm done
I'm done as well. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next week.